everyone. Welcome back to another episode of CD Bath. It's already New Year's now, so wish you all a very, very happy New Year. I hope all of you are doing well and 2021 is treating all of you good. I hope all of you are watching the series of the New Year's, and we have already had recorded two episodes. We have watched the two episodes. They were pretty interesting. And now here we are with the third episode, which is again very, very interesting. Oh, not the third, actually, the fourth. I lost the count. Very, very interesting episode, and we will be unlocking the secrets behind running a social organization, which is a very curiosity sort of a question that we have whenever we go and see some social organization working for a cause. We always have this question: how is it working? How do people manage it? What's going behind the back? And is it safe for me to invest in it? Should I be a part of it or not? So all your questions related to social organizations and how people work behind the back will be sorted today. And for that, we have a very, very special guest with us. He is Mr. Rahul Sharma. I'll read out his achievements to you because they are quite a lot, and he's accomplished quite a lot in a very young age. He is an IIT Bombay alumnus, which is not surprising because we usually see engineers landing into a very wonderful fields, different fields, diverse fields, and usually which are related to public interest and social service. So very proud of that. He's the founder of Pranayas Development Foundation, which he will be covering. For the most part, he'll be discussing how this NGO works and what he does to keep it running and to keep the faith of people associated with them. He has four startups in law, education, marketing, and media domain, which is really exciting. I would love to know how he's doing so much. He's a national player in two sports. One is triathlon, and the second one is swimming. So kudos for that. He's taken counseling of 5,000 plus students during college days on a solo basis. Kudos for that because I think a lot of students need it. And even if you want to get in touch with him, we'll drop in his Instagram ID and his Facebook ID below, and you can get in touch with him. And he loves traveling, and who does not love traveling? But he's more of a lover because he's traveled 71 cities in India, which is mind blowing. Well, we welcome this very, very special guest with us. Welcome, Mr. Rahul. We are truly, truly obliged to have you on CD Bath, and we hope to record. We hope to have a very wonderful recording with you. So, how are you this afternoon? How is the New Year's treating you? And how is the lockdown going on for you? Although it's not a lockdown anymore, how was that lockdown phase going for you? To begin with.
Uh, First of all, Happy New Year. Yeah, I can see the celebration parts which is going on. Means since morning I am receiving lots of messages. Means there was quite some time when I switched off my internet for an hour or so, and after that when I switched it on, my WhatsApp was hanged. So you can see means how these wishes came randomly coming up and for a special day like a New Year, something like that. And yeah, means it's not just me. Means I think the entire world was waiting for 2020 to end somehow. Means it was basically like everyone was in survival mode. They were living inside or in some different dimension. It was a very different phase in which we saw things which we never imagined. Means if you will ask me, if I take a simple example, Indian Railways was shut down, which never happened even in early ages. Means this is something which we saw for the first time. Means there were many such things. Means this year was really something, not in a good way but in a bad way. So many people were expecting 2020 to end as soon as possible. So same goes with me also. Okay, but it's not just about the year which you have to focus on. It's about means 2020 showed us not just the pain but the determination of people. Means how determined they were to fight against such situations in which they were truly falling behind. And many scenarios, means many people lost their jobs. Means we saw the entire daily wage earners committee to just move forward and march on the road, and it was just for that survival instinct. means they just have to survive in this pandemic situation. And yeah, we came across it. We are tough more than ever. And yes, we have crossed 2021, and yes, 2021, 2020, we have crossed 2020. And yes, it's like an achievement. We can mention it in our resume itself that, yeah, we survived 2020. So that can be count. And about my lockdown phase, I totally spent it at my home. Yeah, I was doing involved in my social work because I was means our organization was doing the food distribution part. We were distributing PPE kits, we were distributing masks, and many things were going on. But basically, during this lockdown phase, what the only thing which was very enjoyable was the family time, which we got after a long time. Means it was something like you have to stay at home, you have to stay at home, and you can't leave. Means someone has locked our door from outside, and they have told us that you can't leave. That's it. That's the main scenario. Uh, but as a social worker, means we can't let ourselves be bounded by these things. Means there are few responsibilities which we hold. Means yes, there was risk factor which was involved because at my home I was having grandparents, and I can't do things very casually or something
Yes.
like that. Means there was it's a life risking thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Of
So,
course.
but after all the precautionary steps, it was fun. Means it was like when I'll just give you an example. Means during my food distribution time, I came across a family who was surviving on water for 1 week. They didn't have a single bite of food for entire 1 week. And when we came across them and we asked them that what they eat, that then the first answer the mother came up with was they are surviving with 1 glass of water in the lunch and 1 glass of water in the dinner, and that's how they were surviving for entire 1 week. And it was the early phase of that lockdown period. Means
Yeah.
things were that bad. So yeah, means things were pretty messed up at that point of time. But yes, with everyone's effort and with uh, continuous support, yeah, we got past through it. And during our lockdown phase, we distributed nearly 50,000 meals. We
Wow.
distributed nearly 2,000 to 3,000 masks, and we distributed 130 PPE kits to our uh, Corona warriors who are fighting restlessly on the front line.
Of course.
So means it was our job to protect them. Means they were risking their lives at that point of time. Means our job was to protect them also.
Rahul ji, I would just
So that,
add to this. Firstly, I would appreciate, it's not just an appreciation, but I have to applaud you for your efforts, your team's efforts, and Pranya's Development Foundation's efforts in ensuring that those who are not having that access, at least to the governmental, food distribution systems, or that connect is missing, and that is where people like you have to pitch in, and you have pitched in. And that is the thing about India. If there's any crisis, it is not the government alone, but the people come as a whole and then step in and try to resolve the connect in between. And that brings me to a question regarding Pranya. So you can just share with us how it started off, since you're a co-founder. Along with that, what Pranyas does. You can give us a very brief description about what the organization does, and then we'll move on to the other question that we have.
okay. So I never planned on starting this NGO or something. Means before 2018, I was not even aware about that a common person can start an NGO. I wasn't even aware about how this NGO works. I was not at all having neither the interest nor the knowledge about all these things. But then a certain thing happened. Means I was at my home, and there was some. It was and in that discussion, I told what in that phase I was taking the counseling part, I was inspiring people to do, and all these things were happening on the
Come on.
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so we started in 2018, early 2018, but before that, I wasn't aware about this social sector. Okay, so our journey started in 2000, early 2018 itself, but it wasn't planned. Means uh, I was having no previous knowledge about this social NGO sector. Means whatever I was doing on the solo basis, and I was keeping it very low. Means I was keeping it that much low that not even my parents were aware that I was into social sector from long. Means I was in this social sector from my childhood, but means when you do it on solo basis, you don't like people to know. You just want to do it. Means it's something like you just want to do something good. That's all what you want to do. Means that's all what I was doing. And before that, I was having my personal goal. Means it was to achieve everything and then donate everything. Means whatever I'll achieve, I'll just donate it. Means that was the goal. But there was a certain discussion with my family time, and it was the first time when I discussed with them and I told them about what I was doing. Means it was with my parents and my relatives. And in that phase, I told them that this work I am doing. And then my chacha gave me a certain example, and I think you might have heard about it. Means if you are just fishing just beside a river, and if someone who is hungry comes up to you, other than giving him the fish, you have to teach him how to fish. Means even if that person come when you are even not there, then he is capable to feed himself or herself. Means you have to make them self capable. And then it clicked me that whatever I am doing is a temporary relief. Whatever, in whatever way I am supporting them, it's a very on temporary basis. Means at one way or another they will be needing help at later point of time. Means how can I permanently change their life? Means so that they are capable enough to be the person who can help rather than the person who needs help. So after that, I started looking for number of ways in which I can means do these all sort of things. Then I came across with this NGO word, and then there were many factors involved in why this organization. I started this organization. Means there were certain factor that I am not one of those guys. Suppose if there's some issue or accident happening on TV. Okay, so what happens is while we are watching that scenario, we always we are always on the side that we curse why people are not helping. Means why they are just clicking photo, why they are just standing, and why they are not acting. And we are also always on the cursing side. Okay, but when we enter in the similar situation, what we do, we just simply pass by. Okay, just having a single thought in mind that I am getting late for my office, or I have my personal busy schedule or something like that, otherwise I would have helped. Okay, so there were many things which I was having in mind. Rather than just sitting and doing nothing, what I did was I just found out about this, that there can be an organization, and there would be many helping hands or something like that. And in this way, just by sitting here in this city itself, I can help people across entire globe. Means I just don't have to just sit here and just watch and wish that someone would be helping there. Suppose if there's a natural disaster in Chennai. Okay, so rather than just sitting and wishing that someone should be there helping them, I am capable that I can do something which can help people over there.
Absolutely.
So all these things were coming into my mind, and after this we started this NGO. And since I was having no knowledge about how this NGO sector works, I was having zero skill or past experience in that. What I did was, just my first step was to connect with everyone. I started texting everyone in my Facebook friend list, in my Instagram friend list, in my WhatsApp, everywhere. I started texting everyone. I started asking them whether they want to join this initiative or not as us. And then I think within 2 months we got more than 200 people
Wow.
in an instant. Means it was, at that point of time I was not knowing that it's a very big number. Later I came across, when I got to know about this field a bit more, then later I got to know that yeah, 200 is a big number at an initial stage.
Of course.
And during this phase I came across with my childhood friend who left our school on a certain age, and I came across with him. I told him about this initiative, and he is a lawyer in High Court. So he was interested in that. So I just presented him the idea, and he became my co-founder, and all the legal work regarding our organization is being handled by him.
Wow.
So in this way, my workload about the what you can say law related things were being settled, and I can work freely. I can work freely on ground. I can work freely on connecting with people, and means it was a very amazing experience at that point of time. Means the support we were getting was quite huge. Means in just our first 2 years, we have more than 2,000 to 2,500 volunteers across India.
Wow.
We were getting continuous support. Means all these things were happening because in any organization I saw, when I saw people talking about this, the transparency is missing. Okay, the transparency factor in which people can see the way they are contributing, how that contribution is making the change.
Right.
Means where that some amount of money is going, whether the task decided by an organization are being accomplished or not, and all these things were happening at that point of time. Means when people support something or someone, they expect, okay, and in the social sector they expect the change. They expect people or the organization to absorb the pain of people who are in trouble. Okay, so that's what the expectation is. And based on these two things, that we have to maintain the transparency part, and we have to make sure that whatever work we are doing should bring a sustainable solution in people's life. Means it should be like we should make people self-capable. So what we did was, in initial phase, we figured out that we would be taking complete educational responsibility of kids, because many a times what happens is, many parents who are underprivileged, they go for their boy child education. Okay? For the girl child, they have the certain mentality that what's the point in teaching her. Okay, the ultimate goal of the girl is that she will be getting married and then everything will be settled. Okay, so at one stage or another, girls are treated as a burden in many parts of India. Means yeah, we are modernized, we have very developed and cool thinking and that, but still there are many residue areas in which this certain kind of mentality still exists. Okay, so that's why we were focused on this thing. And while we were reaching out to people, while we were taking the responsibility, we simply told them that we will be taking the entire educational expense of that kid. All you have to do is you just have to send them to school. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever the expense will be regarding the education, we will be supporting. And not just that, it's not just the educational part which we are focusing on. We are focusing on overall development. Suppose not every kid is a bright student, bright in terms of academic part. Okay, many have interest in dance, art, music, sports. Okay, means they have passion for those things. But how a underprivileged kid who have no source of income, whose parents are just barely surviving, how he can pursue such a dream? So what we did was we reach out to experts, means national player, international players in certain all these extracurricular activities, and we asked them to just mentor these kids for free. Okay, and this is how we were seeking for overall development of these kids.
Amazing. I
That
mean,
is
while you were,
fascinating, and Lappy, I'll just make a small point
yeah, yeah,
because I have been a part of an NGO which we founded in our school time, and we have seen we have had a similar experience in terms of that passion to do something for those who are underprivileged, who are in slums, who are not having that kind of a social status or social income level, and all these problems that they face in slums and in particularly in major cities like Hyderabad, Bombay, or wherever. So I could relate to you in that aspect. And adding to that, this particular aspect on education is something I closely worked with when I interned in a popular, I would not say the popular. It's a very well-known NGO in Hyderabad where I worked with them for 1 year or so. And in that process, I came across the exact problem that you highlighted, that there would be child marriage going on where the girl would not be allowed to complete her education and instead be allowed to marry off against her will without any or any proper support or anything. And there's no, even the people are not ready for that. But then people are slowly driving that change, and it's good to see people like you taking up that responsibility, which is very hard because firstly, the legal aspects for anything in India is, I mean, it goes without saying that it's cumbersome because there's so many law related questions that one comes up when forming an NGO, and then when they're running it, there's entirely a different spectrum of regulations that are placed. So in that context, the point about transparency which you highlighted is very important. And I would like to ask if Lapit has any question on this in this regard, because this is something we have to discuss in a much more elaborate view, because transparency in NGOs and social sector is something that is
yeah,
at the moment not very clear.
of course.
So how are you guys resolving that? And you can go about that. And if Lakshmi has any other questions, you can always add to that.
Yeah, I mean, while I was listening
Okay,
to,
so
yeah, oh, okay, it's okay, Rahul, you can answer that first.
yeah, you can ask. I'll answer both at once.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very similar thing. Just wanted to add to it. Like Pawan said, I mean, I was not into all of this earlier. Like you, I had no knowledge about it, how to go about it. If there is something called an NGO that actually helps people and stuff like that. So I mean, there's this tradition that these days it has started. That you can actually pay certain amount every month, and you can actually sponsor education for a child or something. I used to do that earlier, but I was like, let me go on ground and check out what is actually happening. So currently I'm working with one of those NGOs, and I see that we struggle as a team to bring the community together. I mean, to work with their kids, you need to work with the parents also. There's two kinds of psychologies you need to work with when you're working on ground, especially when you're working with the slum or with an orphanage or the people who are not very privileged, precisely. When you work with their children, and like you said, we just said, just send your children to school, baki sab is our responsibility. Even after saying that, it's always very hard to work with the psyche of the parents, because you see, it is generational, and to bring that desire in kids, I think I have been struggling with this particular aspect of working on the ground, that even inspiring children to do something unique is sometimes it becomes so difficult, to bring that passion in the kid itself. Yes, I want to study, or yes, I want to do something different, because the overall environment over there, and related a lot of related issues like sanitation, cleanliness, a lot of things, what's happening, what their parents are doing, if they are into weird things, they're into gambling and whatnot, the environment really impacts their psyche. And in addition to that, a lot of people don't trust NGOs Also because there is always a question mark about what's happening behind the back. So even if people are actually funding these NGOs, or people are trying to help out, me as as an individual, if I want to fund someone's education and someone claims that okay, you pay $100 or $200 every month and you can, you know, indirectly sponsor somebody's education, how should I trust that? Right? So what is the credibility of an NGO, and how you personally work on ensuring that there is this connect between people who are helping, or you guys who are working for the kids, and there is this honesty in every single member, Rahul? First of all, I mean, it's a very appreciable thing. I congratulate you for getting 200 people at once. It's unbelievable. To be honest, I mean, when you start working in a social sector, or you start working in general to add value to somebody's life, that initiative which is social, or the initiative that is educational, does not get as much importance in the initial days. You were lucky enough to get 200 people. Then how did you bind those 200 people together and put that ethic and that trust within them, so that the functioning was like went well and smooth? We like to know the secret.
Okay. So basically, what I worked on was basic human behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
How we connect. Okay. Suppose with whom we are connected. We are connected with our friends. Okay. We are connected with our family. We are connected with our colleagues after a few months or so. Okay. Not with everyone, but with few we get connected. Okay. So the thing is, we are able to look into their life and we share about our life also. So a bonding of sharing happens. Okay. Because of that bonding of sharing, we are now connected. Okay. Because in a time of pain or in time of happiness, we were able to share it, and we were able to either the celebrate, or or even we were able to compensate the lack of all that pain. Means it's just that this is how these bonds are created. Okay. So for the transparency part, on for how these funds come, I basically never focused on that. I just simply focused on creating the bond. Okay. What happens is, if I take you an example, suppose if there's a natural disaster in some city. Okay. And the news is spread across entire country, and then you can see the entire country is supporting that city, and everyone is like contributing. Okay. They don't need to know that whom for whom they are contributing. They just see the personal scenarios, the pain, the situation, actual situation which is happening. Okay. But what happens is, it's actually momentary. Okay. What happens is, when a person donates, it's for the time being, and then they get disconnected, and then they entered into their personal own life, their personal own circle, and after that they are again the isolated ones, and they are not anywhere near to the social life. Okay. But what if I can connect all these underprivileged people? If what if people can came across the regular daily life routine of these people who needs help, who are in pain? So that's how I designed this hope model. Okay. So there's always a say. Okay. Many times, even among your friends, you have heard what we can do. We are not government. We are not in that position. We are not a change maker. What we can do. And that's how we stop ourselves from doing anything. And that's what actually happens. Okay. But the initiative I designed gives you that power, that you can actually be a change maker. Okay, let me give you how this initiative works. Okay. Have you heard about adoption?
Yes.
In this, what happens is, you take complete educational or entire living expense or all the responsibility of a kid. Okay. A family or a person take all the responsibility of a kid, and they adopted that kid. Okay. But in this, what I did was, I break down this process. Okay. In this process, 20 people will be supporting a kid. Okay. And this kid will be from the slum area, from the village, or any such location. Okay. In this, what happens is, these 20 people have to do nothing. They just have to contribute 100 per month. For a student, for a earning person, for anyone, 100 per month is not a big deal.
Yes.
I'm talking about all, uh, even a common crowd, even in the middle class, even in the lower class. Yeah, 100 per month is something which is very negligible for them also.
Of course.
Okay. So this initiative works on that small amount. Okay. But what it focus on is this: when this small amount is collected at a single place and it's continuous, it supports the education of that kid. And in this way, we are able to generate enough fund which can support the education of that kid for the entire year, or for any other expenses regarding the extracurricular activities also. Okay. So this was the first step, to keep it up to a level in which anyone can participate from anywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone from anywhere can participate in this initiative. The second thing was to keep transparency. Okay. In this, it was transparency also about the creating the bond itself. Okay.
Yes.
Then what we did was, once someone is part of this initiative, we provide them all the basic necessary details: the name of kid, the name of parents, the job profile of the parents, the income of parents, and in which school the kid is going, and whether that kid has BPL card or not, below poverty line card or not, whether that kid has Aadhaar card or not. Okay. All the basic necessary details are being shared with these individual contributors. Okay.
Amazing.
And along with this, we share either a solo photo or the Aadhaar card with them. So in this way, they know exactly that it's something authentic. Okay. For more authenticity part, what we do is we share weekly assessment report.
Wow.
In this, what's happened is, suppose if whatever the issue a kid is facing while going to school, while studying something, or either in a personal life. Okay. All these things are mentioned in those weekly assessment report. Means whatever is happening in that week with the kid is already means provided to all these contributors. In this way, they know, means what's happening in the life of these kids whom they are supporting.
Amazing.
And what's the progress, what's the marks they are getting, means if they are performing good, if they are not performing good, whether they have interest in cricket, or they have interest in football or something like that. All these things are being conveyed to all these contributors. So in this way, they get connected. Okay. And this was the second step, and we provided the third step. Okay. Rather than just having these data or the messages, we once a month we will give you the opportunity to connect with these kids directly on the call or on video call. So in this way, you can directly connect with them, you can ask them whatever you want. Okay. You can interact with them, you can have fun. Okay. You can get to know them, means what issues they are facing. You can interact with the kid, you can interact with their parents, and in this way you can directly be assured that help which you are providing is directly reaching out to that kid itself.
Right.
So in this way, layer by layer we provided all the transparency part. So in this way, those whoever is participating in this initiative are completely aware about where their money is going. And in this thing, to make it to reach to a next level, what we did was, recently we are planning to adopt 15 villages across India. Okay. And all these villages are adopted with the help of students from IITs, IIMs. Social clubs of these IITs and IIMs are helping us out in this adoption part. And in this way, what we are planning to do is, suppose if some kid is in a nearby village from Lucknow. Okay. So what we will be doing, only Lucknow people will be able to adopt the kid from Lucknow. So in this way, they will be able to meet the kid directly. So if they personally want to go and meet with the kid, they can directly go and meet with the kid.
Nice. Nice.
So this is the fourth level of transparency. So in this way, yeah, means it's their preference whether they want to means support a kid from any other city or any other area of India or even across the globe. It's
Yeah.
totally their choice. But in this way, we will be able to give them the opportunity to opt for a kid which will be in their city itself. So in this way, they can personally meet them. So this is the fifth level of transparency. So in this way, they can actually see the change which is happening.
Absolutely.
And that's what we are planning to do. Means in this way, the support you are giving, you will exactly know that that support is going to that kid.
Yeah.
And you can directly see the change.
Of course, of course. So you created a loop basically, and that loop is creating credibility and trust among people, which is amazing. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
we need to learn that how Rahulji said that, I never worked on making my training my team or something. I just worked on human behavior, right? How human behavior is and how I interact with the people. So like I'll give you an example. Like our family, you never talk to your parents or to your best friend saying that I trust you or do you trust me. You don't ask these questions to them, right? You don't give any guidelines to them. It's just that mutual bond that you share and eventually turns into trust of the utmost level, which you are pretty sure would not be broken. And that value system that you exchange and that morals that you exchange, the interaction that you have ensures that there is trust and credibility, and that's how that value in you comes in your firm. So I think anybody who is planning to become a social entrepreneur, because Rahulji, social entrepreneurship is one such field which is like very popular these days. So people from all diverse fields, they're looking into social entrepreneurship in a very unique manner, and they want to contribute in however they can. So recently we had a show with Miss Priyal Kenny, who is an international rifle shooter. She's an Indian medalist, and she was into sports, and now she's doing chartered accountancy. And now wants to become a social entrepreneur, and she wants to highlight sports. Bring out sports for young people, underprivileged children. Want to bring out the character of sports in them, to provide them free training or reasonable training so that they can get into the field of sports, which is amazing because she's utilizing her strengths and her passion and her profession for becoming a social entrepreneur. So I think all of us should be looking into this direction because, like Rahulji said, education is one such thing. If you give it to somebody, you're making them independent. You don't even have to feed them because they'll be able to feed them, their families, their kids, and they'll be able to make a better society altogether. So it's really powerful, and it's a great way to, if you're looking forward to social entrepreneurship, I think education is a great way. And Rahulji's strategy is how he explained the entire journey. I mean, if he has been able to do so well, I'm pretty sure all of us can also do it, or else we can connect with him at least. Yes, Rahul.
Also,
Yes, Pawan.
as an economist myself, economics, at least I'm in the field of economics. I would say it's a question now of scaling up the model that we've suggested.
Yeah.
So if this, and this is a critical juncture, I think most social entrepreneurs will face this problem, and I would say in terms of funding and all these problems. But the model that you suggested is something unique in the sense that you are able to, you're not focusing on your NGO's issues of funding and all that. Rather, you're letting the people decide and giving it to them. So in this context, this can be a scalable idea where if you implement it in a bigger way, I think the reach can be much more. And adding to that, I would just say that, in India, we have to be driven by this kind of social entrepreneurship because the government procedures, government system that is there, it can lead to a lot of inefficiency in reaching out to the needy. So there is a need, and there is a very pressing need for people like Rahul Sharma ji and others who have joined us and who have heard us. We have all heard of the such great ideas turning out to be very practical and implementable. These kind of ideas have to be scaled up in a much bigger way so that in this aspect of education, it would actually enable people to set up even schools as a part of social entrepreneurship, and then reduce the need for all this kind of system that we have can be improved to a large extent by way of social entrepreneurship. And I think this is the way to go if you want to, if you want to actually
Definitely, yeah.
empower children directly.
Yes.
And this is a brilliant way, and I think we have to acknowledge that too. And we'll love it. Over to you. Do you want
Yes.
to go to the next segment?
Yeah, I mean, Rahulji, now that we have discussed about your idea, your journey, and what are the challenges that you faced, and I think we didn't discuss precisely about the challenges, but I mean, what all you planned and how you could probably, bring it into the picture and how everything went very smoothly. I mean, another curiosity question that comes to my mind is how was this response? Like when you're doing this, what is the response of people and how are people taking this up? And do you see, I mean, where do you see Pranayas reaching in the next few years? Your goal?
Okay, I'll just give a small example, okay, about the response. You will just simply get from that a small example, okay.
Yes.
After this post-COVID, what was happening was many organizations were facing a singular problem, and that was they were not getting sufficient volunteers. Okay?
Okay.
Because our entire interaction was based on face-to-face basis. Okay, we go somewhere, we hire volunteers, okay, and we get enormous number of participation from there, and that's all what was happening. Okay, but what on this thing many organizations were working. There was a kid who was from IIM, I think IIM Indore or something. uh, Okay, and she was also associated with such organization, and they were doing this research. Okay,
Great.
and they were actually trying to get to know that how we are coping up with this current problem. But what was happening with us was the day we circulated the volunteering hiring form, our website got crashed.
Oh,
We
okay.
were getting huge number of participations at once, and
Wow.
because of that our website got crashed. And in that phase we have to ask people to not to fill up the form right now, they can fill up it in the evening or the next day. Okay, so that's how these things were happening. Means our entire focus was never on means how to run all these things and this and that. Our entire focus was on the people whom we have to help.
Exactly.
Okay, and the we were just building up the bridge. Okay, and it was the bridge between the people who can help with the people who need help, and we
Wow.
were just working on that bridge. And means if I'll say the response part, I have seen many contributors or donors who started with this 20 people hope model initiative, and then they ended up taking the complete education response on a
Wow.
solo basis. Means they were like paying the entire education on the solo basis. I totally trusted this model, send me the entire expense, I'll pay.
Wow.
And then for another kid you can seek out for other 20 people, and in this way they are feeling that kid as a part of their family.
Family. Yeah. Yeah.
And in this way that kid is getting another family, an educated family, a second family, a educated family, which can help him in deciding his or her career, and making sure that that kid achieves his or her goal.
Amazing.
And that's what this initiative is doing. And about the problem, initially you told me how to convince people that this will do good for them and how this will be doing. I'll share just one incident. When we uh, went for our first adoption project, I was in Mumbai. I was in my IIT campus. I was I went to a slum, and from that slum we were taking the responsibility of 10 kids. We were at that point of time we were having budget to support education of 10 kids. Okay,
Yes.
so I was planning on to take the data for 10 kids, do a bit of survey and take the data. And after that survey ended, one kid was leading me to the way out of that slum. And while he was leading me out, he simply asked me, भैया जैसे आप हमारी पढ़ाई को सपोर्ट कर रहे हो, whether you will be supporting my friends also. And at that point of time, जैसे ही मैंने उसको ये चीज बोली, कि अभी हम बस 10 बच्चों को मदद कर रहे हैं, आगे आने वाले समय में we will help your friends also. And at that point I saw the certain sadness in his face, and it was like a heartbreaking thing for me. Means at that point it was a problem statement for me, means how to make that kid smile. Means at that point of time we were not having enough budget to support more than 10 kids. We were not having anything. uh, for the next 1 week, it was a continuous process for me to think about the solution which we can implement to take the responsibility of these kids. Then something clicked. What if I am not capable? What if I can involve people? Okay, so what I did was I reached out to the social club of IIT Bombay, Abhyuday. I explained them about my hope model. Okay, and I simply told them I want to take responsibility of entire slum. Means every kid in that slum, we want to take responsibility of every kid in this. So without the discrimination in which class they are, without the discrimination where they are, and who their parents are working, this that, without any discrimination, we will be taking responsibility of entire slum. And then it come up with the monetary part or the promotion part. Then I reached out to RVCJ Media, and I reached out to his founder. I explained him about my model, and he is such a down towards earth guy. Means he was very impressed with that model, and uh, he is on board with that model also. So at that point of time we took the complete educational responsibility of every kid in that slum. We did a survey. We got nearly 200 kids application. Means we got the data for all these 200 kids. That then the COVID scenario came and we were not able to implement it, but just as soon as possible, these kids from IIT Bombay itself, they will go back to the campus. We will be implementing that thing. And when I visited again that slum, and when I told that kid that tomorrow we are going to do the survey part of every kid, bring all your friends, and we will be supporting education of every kid. And at that point of time, the expression on that kid's face was priceless. Means it was something like just as soon as I told that kid started running and went far away from my one side, and he went to all of his friends and told me that Bhaiya will be supporting your education, and it was an amazing experience for me.
I can imagine that.
Means
yeah, very relatable.
Yeah, means it's something which gives us the satisfaction that yes, we were not able, we are right now capable to make a kid smile. Okay, even if right now his or her dream is not about himself, he is dreaming for every means kid in that area. Means that was something. And about the third question which you asked, means yeah, there's resistance involved. Okay, people are not that prone to send kids to the education, and many of them are pushing them away towards the child labor. Okay, and they are asking them to means be participate and be part of it. So for that, what happens is, firstly, we are not able to figure out what's the pinpointed problem they are facing. Okay, and when they ask them, they are not able to specify that, because for them that life of pain is their routine. Okay, so if we ask them that what's giving you pain, they are not able to distinguish. Okay, so that's what the problem they are facing. So what I did was I simply gave them a diary. Okay, I gave a diary to nearly, I think, 80 to 100 girls, and I asked them to write daily routine. Okay, in that routine you have to write everything. If you are stealing chocolate from your friend's pocket, you have to mention it. Okay, and if you are helping out your mother, if you are doing anything, you have to mention every single thing you are doing in that day. You have to mention everything in that diary.
Wow.
And in this way, rather than just they being telling us what problems they are facing, just after reading that personal diary, we will be able to figure out and pinpoint the exact problem which these kids are facing.
Amazing.
So that's
Amazing idea.
so that's how I dealt with that problem finding part. And in that, on the last page, I asked them to write. Uh, Suppose right now they are going to school, okay, but the kid who is living nearby them are not going to school.
Cool.
They have to mention that kid's name, and they have to mention why he is or she is not going to school.
Yeah.
Because when we are going for survey, we are there just for a day or two. Okay, we can't know what exact problem they are facing, but being their friend, these kids know exactly what's happening in that kid's life. And in this way, we can create a chain in which we can figure out and pinpoint the exact problem which is happening entire that slum or village. So we can work on that. Means
Yeah.
without placing much efforts. Yeah, means in this way things can be done.
Very sensible. I mean, these the last two strategies that you told, I'm surely going to discuss this. And yeah, like you said, you have to put less effort. I mean, less of manpower, and you can get more results out of it. Because at the end of the day, what matters more is I see a lot of people thinking that, you know, if you're working and just tiring yourself on ground, only then you're actually helping out people. But if you can use your brain and you can, you know, strategically plan things and simultaneously help people while also living your own life very in a sorted manner, I think that's the most beautiful thing, if you can strike a balance. Rahulji, I could just continue talking to you about this. It's such a wonderful journey of yours, and I'm really, really inspired on how you started while not being in this field at all to, you know, completely making yourself engrossed in this, and now you're changing the life of so many children. You're bridging the gap which is there in our country, the biggest gap, which is, you know, a lot of children who, without their fault, they're not getting equal education, they're not getting equal privileges, and you're providing them something, a power with which they can change the fortune of their families, not just themselves, which is really, really inspiring, and I respect you a lot for that. I think all our viewers will be able to relate with this, because I see this sense of belongingness coming in people, but they feel scared, they don't want to come up, they don't have faith in organizations, or even if they have, they feel that, like you said, one person cannot make the change. They have that in them, and that's why they're not coming up. That fear that they can't change the world is stopping them from actually changing the world. So I really hope that people who are listening to you at this moment, they get inspired, they get in touch with you, they can start something on their own. A lot of states, a lot of cities, Rahulji, have their local NGOs of this sort as well. Like we in Patiala are having this sort of an NGO. Then there are several cities in Punjab where such NGOs are operational. And it's a great way for us to come together and probably think about it, formulate, instead of running, say, 40 NGOs which are not impacting a lot of lives. Maybe we can come up and create two or three of them which are actually impacting a lot of lives. So I think you have given us a lot of information to process. You have given us a lot of tips and tricks to use in our daily life, and you've given us the inspiration to go on to and think about social entrepreneurship. If there's anything else you want to say, Rahulji, or any message you want to give for the youth who's listening to you right now, please go ahead and share your message, and then we shall wrap up the episode.
Okay, so the first thing and last thing about this initiative gives power to the common crowd. Okay, as a common crowd, when you are not in any such change making shape or something like that, position or like that, at that point of time you feel helpless. Okay, even when you are seeing your surrounding degrading or something like that, at that point of time you think that there are not many things which I can do, but through this initiative you can do that. Okay, suppose what happens with the things and this crimes which are happening, there is a specific percentage of crimes which happens with due to lack of knowledge. Okay, means suppose the crime is happening because the certain person is not having any knowledge about that he is committing a crime. If I take a small example, in the rural area, in the slum area, they don't have a concept of privacy. Okay, they don't have a door or something like that. They enter wherever they want to, and there's no partition or something like that. But in city, privacy is a very big thing. Okay, means you can see a big fuzz over the privacy part. Means if you are entering in my room, you have to knock it down. Okay, means you have to knock, you have to first ask my permission, and you have to seek for my permission before entering in my room or in my personal space or something like that. But when people from such background are coming to the city part, they are not aware about such things. Okay, they are not aware about that such scenarios, such differences in the means routine or the way we live exist. Okay, and same things goes with the good touch and bad touch.
Of course,
okay,
of course.
For city people, yeah, they, many of them are aware about what's the difference. But for all these rural areas and for the people who are living in, there is no difference in that. Okay, for them, a touch is touch. Means what's good and what's bad in that. Okay, so means, but there are many things which are involved in these small and minute details.
Of course.
Okay,
of course.
So all these things in this initiative, we are not just focusing on this academic part and extracurricular. We also give them moral classes. Okay, moral classes. What's the difference between right and wrong? Means everything. Means as a kid, whatever my parents taught me, in a Hindi word, sanskar. Okay,
Sanskar, yes.
All these things are being taught to all these kids, and in this way they know how to be a kind, be a gentle person. And
of course,
with this crime, what happens is, suppose if you are supporting a kid, okay, and right now that kid entire educational expense and everything is being supported by someone, and right now he is not in that compromising state. Okay, so since he can make decisions, now he can choose in the right side and the wrong side, whether he wants to create a good profile or whether he wants to indulge with the bad influence. But what happens when a kid is not having any support? Okay, they are on survival instinct. At survival instinct, you can't differentiate between the right and wrong. Okay, because we have to pull them out of this compromising state. Okay, means if we can just provide them the sufficient opportunity to chase their dream, to dream something, means we can stop them from entering into a bad profile or in a bad area. Okay, and in this way you are not just supporting their education and helping them in becoming a good person, you are actually bringing the crime rates down.
Very true.
Means if you can think in a broader perspective, if you can think on a large scale, this is how things happen. Means right now what we are focusing on eliminating all these slums and villages. For this elimination, we are not asking people to leave these villages and just ask them to go and live somewhere and they don't belong here. It's not like that.
Right.
It's about raising their life standard. Suppose if a parent is earning nearly 5,000 and 10,000 a month, okay, that person is not able to afford a good place. Okay, they can only arrange for their food. But what if we can make their kids capable enough to earn for more than 50 or 60,000? Then they will be shifting to a better place. Means we are actually focusing on raising the living standard of these people. In this way, we can actually transform the area itself.
Fabulous. That was wow. Yes, you were saying something.
In this thing, what you do on daily basis, it's up to you. Okay, how you want to live, it's up to you. What decisions you want to make, it's up to you. But once a month, help someone whom you don't know.
Fabulous.
Expand your belongingness. Okay, you will definitely help your loved ones, but once a month, help someone whom you don't know. And in this way, you will see that change is actually happening around you and you have the power to change that.
Amazing. I think the last 5 minutes or so, that was like the complete summary. And this is beautiful, guys. I mean, how helping somebody, education is not just restricted to your child getting good marks and your child just getting a job. It's related to how your child behaves in the world, how that child deals with people around him, and how that child grows into a sensible human being. So it has a lot in it. And how Rahulji's vision of such a broad vision, I should say, of educating children and looking at it in so many different perspectives. It's commendable, Rahulji. I don't even know what to say after this. It's wonderful. And like you said, try your best, guys, to contribute and give back to the society that's the society that has been giving you all this while. And it's worth it, because we are privileged enough to have everything. If you're not worried about your next meal, or what you're going to eat, or what are you going to wear, or if you have a shelter to live, if you are not worried about this, I think we should consider ourselves lucky. We are in that 1 or 2% people who have all the privileges of the world. The rest of the world is in suffering, trust me. And if we can just contribute to making somebody's life a little better, I think our lives would be successful, and all our sins that we do, they would be just they would be God would just not punish us. He would just consider us, he would forgive us for all the wrongs we do. So looking at it in whatever perspective you like, I think there is no religion, there is no region, there is no belief that stops you from doing social work. And this is something that connects us all, and helps us create a community. Rahulji, you're doing a commendable job, and we sincerely thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and coming here, expressing your ideas, sharing your story, and inspiring the people who are listening to you. I think it's a great job that you're doing, and keep doing that. I really hope Pranayas grows over the years, and it successfully, impacts lots of lives, and you are getting lots of blessings. Trust me, and maybe that's why you're able to do so much. You get that impetus from the people who are blessing you, from the people whose lives you have been impacting. Great work. We are truly obliged to have you. Pavan just dropped out, guys. I think there's some connectivity issue. That's why he dropped off. So we have to close the episode here with me alone. Thank you so much, Rahulji, on the behalf of both of us, me and Pavan. We are so inspired, and I think it was one of the best episodes we recorded over the year. I mean, we have been recording for about 7-8 months now, and I think this was a very touching episode. Thank you so much for coming, for taking out time. We really hope you enjoyed, and if anything we said bothered you or hurt you, we're really sorry for that. But thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your ideas with all of us.
No,
Great. Okay, guys,
means
we will.
in any way possible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, guys, thank you for joining us. This was all about today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Kindly share it with people who are looking forward to, get into social entrepreneurship. It will really help them. And in general, also, anybody who's a human would be helped with this episode, because it's all about helping humanity. It's all about raising, a community together. So it's going to connect all of us. For more videos, just stay tuned with us. We are coming up with more such very interesting, engrossing, and sensible guests in the future episodes. Stay tuned with us. Consider subscribing the channel, like the video, and share it with others whom you think will be helped with this. We hope to see you in the next episode. Until then, just take care and keep smiling and keep serving people. Keep helping somebody if you can. And together we are growing. See you.